Captain Elias Reed leaned back in the captain's chair aboard the Vindicator, an old Corvette-class spaceship that had seen better days. Its hull was patched up in several places, a testament to the skirmishes it had endured over the years. The Vindicator was far from the pride of the human fleet, but to Elias it was home. Currently positioned in the shadow of an uninhabited moon on the outskirts of the Sol system, the Vindicator was conducting routine surveillance. The area was considered low risk, which is why the fleet had assigned an older ship to patrol it. The crew, a mix of seasoned veterans and eager young recruits, went about their duties with a relaxed efficiency that came from months of uneventful patrols. However, today was different. The silence of the bridge was shattered by an urgent beep from the communications console. Lieutenant Groves, a sharp-eyed officer who had the comm station, looked up with a mixture of surprise and concern. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual," Groves reported, adjusting the settings on his console to clarify the signal. Elias straightened in his seat, his relaxed demeanor shifting instantly to one of alertness. "What have we got, Lieutenant?" "It's a warp signature, sir, but unlike anything we've encountered before. It's massive and coming our way, estimating arrival in less than 2 minutes." A massive warp signature could only mean one thing: a large fleet. But who would send a large fleet to this backwater sector? Elias's mind raced through the possibilities. None of the neighboring systems had the capability or the motive to launch such a fleet. "Sound general quarters. Get everyone to battle stations. I want all sensors on that signature. Let's find out what we're dealing with before they're on top of us," Elias ordered, his voice calm but firm. The crew sprang into action, the previous calm of the bridge replaced by a controlled urgency. Screens lit up with data, and the hum of the ship increased as systems powered to full readiness. As the warp signature closed in, the image on the main screen clarified, revealing the sleek and menacing silhouettes of Threxian warships. The Threxians, a race known for their militaristic and expansionist policies, had never ventured this close to human territory before. Elias frowned, absorbing the information. The Threxians underestimated the strategic value of this sector, or perhaps they underestimated humanity itself. Either way, their presence here was a direct threat. "Lieutenant Groves, open a channel to the Threxian fleet. Let's see if they're in a talking mood." Groves nodded and worked his console. After a moment, he shook his head. "No response, Captain. They're on an intercept course, weapons powered." Elias's eyes narrowed. It was a blatant act of aggression. The Vindicator was no match for a Threxian fleet, but Elias had no intention of backing down. Not when Earth's outer colonies were at stake. "All right, crew, it looks like we're in for a fight. I know we're outgunned, but remember, they made a big mistake underestimating our ships. We're going to use that to our advantage. Prepare to execute Maneuver Sigma 5 on my command." The crew tensed, readying for the maneuver they had drilled countless times, a high-risk gambit that relied on agility and surprise, not firepower. As the first Threxian ships emerged from warp, Captain Elias Reed smiled grimly. "Let's show them what we're made of." As the Threxian fleet materialized from warp, their ships loomed large against the backdrop of distant stars. Sleek and aggressive, their hulls bristled with weaponry, a stark contrast to the patched and worn exterior of the Vindicator. Captain Elias Reed watched the enemy formation, his mind racing through tactics and possibilities. "Sir, they're hailing us now," Lieutenant Groves announced, an edge of surprise in his voice. On screen, Elias commanded, his gaze never leaving the visual of the approaching ships. The screen flickered, and a Threxian commander appeared. His features were hard and angular, typical of his species, with a cold, piercing gaze. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Threxian space. Surrender immediately, and you will be spared." Elias suppressed a smile. Threxian space? That was a new and baseless claim, typical of Threxian expansionist tactics. "Commander, you seem to be mistaken. You're the one violating human-claimed territory. I suggest you withdraw your fleet, or we will defend ourselves." The Threxian's eyes narrowed. "This sector was claimed by the Threxian Dominion as of 2 days ago. You are the intruders. You have 1 minute to comply." The screen went dark as the communication ended. Elias turned to his crew, his expression resolute. "Prepare for Maneuver Sigma 5. Helm, plot a course that takes us between those two cruisers. Gunnery, ready all weapons, but hold fire until my mark." "Aye, Captain," came the synchronized response from the crew. As the Vindicator surged forward, the crew braced themselves. The ship, agile for its age, darted towards the narrow gap between the two Threxian cruisers. Threxian guns tracked their movements, opening fire. Bolts of energy sizzled past the Vindicator, some striking the shields, causing the ship to shudder. "Shields at 76%, called out the shield operator. "Keep going, we need to close the distance," Elias urged his helmsman, who nodded and pushed the engines further. The old ship groaned under the strain but obeyed, slipping through the gap just as the Threxian cruisers attempted to close it, scraping their armored sides against each other in their haste to trap the Vindicator. "We're through," exclaimed the helmsman, relief in his voice. Elias didn't waste a moment. "Gunnery, fire at will. Target their engines. Let's cripple them for starters." The Vindicator's guns lit up, sending a volley of fire towards the exposed rear of the Threxian cruisers. The shots were precise, hitting critical points and causing visible damage to one cruiser's engine array. "Direct hit on the starboard cruiser's engines, sir." "They're losing power," reported the gunnery officer. "Good. Helm, take us around for another pass. Engineering, reroute power to shields and weapons." As the Vindicator made its daring maneuvers, the rest of the Threxian fleet began to react, their initial underestimation turning into cautious respect. They started to coordinate their attacks, attempting to box in the nimble human ship. Elias kept his crew focused, using every bit of the Vindicator's agility and their tactical advantage. "Stay sharp, everyone. We've got them rethinking their strategy. Let's keep up the pressure." Each pass the Vindicator made resulted in more damage to the Threxian fleet, slowly but effectively evening the odds as Elias exploited the enemy's overconfidence and disarray. The battle continued, with the Vindicator weaving a deadly path through the Threxian fleet, proving that even an old ship, when commanded with skill and courage, could hold its ground against seemingly overwhelming odds. The battle raged on, weaving through the emptiness of space with the grace of a deadly ballet. The Vindicator, under the seasoned command of Captain Elias Reed, danced dangerously close to destruction with each maneuver, yet it managed to outpace and outmaneuver the larger Threxian ships with startling efficacy. On the bridge, the air was thick with tension, punctuated by the hum of the ship's systems and the occasional thump of energy blasts against their shields. "Shields now at 52%, Captain," reported the shield operator, a hint of concern in her voice. Elias nodded, his focus never wavering from the tactical display. "Keep me updated. Helm, prepare for another run. We'll use the asteroid field to our advantage this time." The helmsman adjusted the course, steering the Vindicator towards a dense cluster of asteroids nearby. The move was risky. The rocky terrain could easily become a graveyard for any ship, but Elias was counting on their superior navigation skills and the Threxians' reluctance to follow them into such hazardous conditions. As they entered the asteroid field, Elias turned to his weapons officer. "Target any asteroids on a collision course with the Threxians. Let's make the environment work for us." With precise shots, the Vindicator's cannons struck several large asteroids, altering their trajectories towards the pursuing Threxian ships. The enemy fleet, already cautious about the nimble human vessel, now had to navigate the additional threat of high-speed celestial debris. "Threxian cruiser damaged by asteroid collision, Captain," Groves reported, monitoring the sensors. "Their formation is breaking." "Excellent," Elias responded, a thin smile breaking through his stern demeanor. "Let's circle back and hit their flagship. Target their communications array. If we can cut off their coordination, we can sow more confusion." The Vindicator swung around, using the natural cover of the asteroids to approach the Threxian flagship unseen. As they cleared the edge of the asteroid field, the flagship loomed ahead, a giant among giants, bristling with weaponry. "Now fire," Elias commanded. A volley of fire from the Vindicator lanced out, striking the Threxian flagship's communications array, and causing a brilliant explosion that ripped through its upper structure. The ship remained operational, but its ability to coordinate with the fleet was visibly hampered. The Threxians, realizing the threat posed by this lone human ship, began to withdraw their ships from the asteroid field, regrouping at a safe distance to reassess their strategy. Elias watched them retreat, knowing this was only a temporary respite. "They'll be back, and in greater numbers," he mused aloud. "We need to use this time wisely. Engineering, I need you to patch up our systems as best you can. Helm, find us a more defensible position within the asteroid field. We're not out of this yet." As the crew busied themselves with repairs and repositioning, Elias took a moment to reflect on their situation. They had managed to deal a significant blow to a superior enemy, using only their wits and the capabilities of an outdated ship. It was a testament to human ingenuity and determination. However, the true test was still ahead. The Threxians would undoubtedly return, likely with a plan to counter the tactics Elias had employed so far. He needed to be ready to anticipate and outthink his enemy. The survival of his crew and the defense of Earth's colonies depended on it. Inside the cramped but vital confines of the Vindicator's engineering deck, the air was thick with the scent of ozone and hot metal. Crew members moved swiftly, repairing damage and reinforcing systems, their faces set with determination. Captain Elias Reed was there among them, lending a hand where needed, his presence a reassuring symbol of unity and leadership. "Captain, we've patched the primary cooling system, but it's a temporary fix at best," Chief Engineer Malik reported, wiping sweat from his brow. "We need dry dock facilities for a proper overhaul." "We'll make do for now, Malik. Keep everything running as best you can," Elias responded, clapping the engineer on the shoulder. "I have every confidence in you and your team." Returning to the bridge, Elias surveyed the tactical situation. The Threxian fleet had indeed regrouped beyond the asteroid field, their movements suggesting a cautious but deliberate plan of attack. It was clear they no longer underestimated the Vindicator, but Elias wondered if they understood just how desperate and therefore dangerous a cornered opponent could be. "Lieutenant Groves, any change in their communications?" Elias asked, hoping for an opportunity to eavesdrop on the enemy's plans. "Still scrambling from the damage to their flagship, sir. They're using basic signals now, harder to intercept and decipher," Groves replied. "Keep trying. Information is as vital as firepower right now," Elias said, turning his attention to the tactical display. The asteroids provided good cover, but they were also a hindrance to maneuvering. If the Threxians attacked in force, it would be difficult to evade in such confined space. "Helm, take us deeper into the field. Find us a pocket where we can set a trap," Elias instructed. His plan was to use the asteroids not just defensively, but as active participants in the coming skirmish. As the Vindicator moved cautiously through the field, the crew set about preparing for the next encounter. Elias had the weapon systems recalibrated for short, powerful bursts capable of turning even small asteroids into deadly projectiles. The ship's exterior cameras and sensors were adjusted to provide the best possible field of view, turning the asteroid field into an improvised battlefield. Hours passed as the Threxians slowly advanced, their approach careful and methodical. It was clear they were trying to flush the Vindicator out without exposing themselves to the same tactics that had cost them earlier. Elias watched their progression, his mind racing through scenarios. "When they come, it'll be fast and hard. They want to end this quickly," he said to his bridge crew. "But we'll make them fight for every inch. On my command, we'll execute a series of hit-and-run attacks. We hit them, then melt back into the asteroids." The tension on the bridge was palpable as the first Threxian ships edged into the outer limits of the asteroid field. The Vindicator lay in wait, silent and still, nestled between two large asteroids. As the enemy ships spread out, searching for the human vessel, Elias gave the order. "Now, target the lead ships, aim for propulsion." The Vindicator's cannons roared to life, striking quickly and retreating back into the shadows of the asteroid field. The Threxian ships, caught off guard, scrambled to respond. "Direct hit on the enemy's aft thruster," reported the gunnery officer. "They're slowing down." "Good. Move to the next position. "We'll keep them guessing," Elias directed, his voice calm but intense. The cat and mouse game continued, with the Vindicator exploiting every advantage offered by the asteroid field. With each strike, the Threxians grew more frustrated, their formation becoming increasingly disorganized as they tried to counter the elusive human ship. As the battle wore on, Elias knew that each successful strike increased their chances of surviving this confrontation. But he also knew they couldn't keep this up indefinitely. The Vindicator was holding its own for now, but it was only a matter of time before the Threxians adapted or sheer numbers overwhelmed them. The skirmish within the asteroid field evolved into a relentless test of endurance and tactics. Captain Elias Reed guided the Vindicator with a masterful understanding of both his ship's capabilities and the environment around them. Each asteroid, each floating piece of rock, became a part of their defensive strategy, a way to level the playing field against the numerically superior Threxian fleet. However, as the hours stretched on, the strain on the ship and its crew began to show. The Vindicator's temporary repairs started to falter under the continuous stress of combat maneuvers and weapon discharges. "Captain, we're running low on energy reserves and shield strength is down to 30%. The chief engineer's voice crackled over the comm. "We can keep up the fight, but not for much longer without risking core stability." Elias acknowledged the report with a grim nod. He knew the limits of his ship all too well, and they were rapidly approaching them. He glanced at the tactical display, watching as the Threxians cautiously but persistently tightened their net. They had learned, adapting their tactics to minimize their losses while still pressing the attack. It was time for a new approach, a more daring one. "Lieutenant Groves, patch me through to the entire fleet. It's time we tried something a bit more persuasive." Groves nodded, working quickly to establish a ship-wide link. "You're on, Captain." Elias cleared his throat, addressing not just his own crew, but the entire Threxian fleet. "This is Captain Elias Reed of the Vindicator. To the commanders of the Threxian fleet, I propose a ceasefire and parley. You have pursued us with great determination, but this battle could continue indefinitely, with losses on both sides. Let us meet and discuss terms that might prevent further unnecessary bloodshed." There was a long pause, the silence hanging heavy over the Vindicator's bridge. Finally, the Threxian fleet responded, their flagship broadcasting a simple, terse agreement. "We will meet. Cease your maneuvers and prepare for parley. We will send coordinates." Elias let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Cease all aggressive actions, maintain readiness, and set a course for the parley coordinates," he ordered, hoping his gamble would pay off. As the Vindicator limped towards the rendezvous point, Elias prepared himself for the parley. He chose a small, heavily armored shuttle for the meeting, taking only a few trusted officers with him. The tension was palpable. A single misstep could reignite hostilities. The parley took place on a neutral asteroid, chosen for its equidistance from both fleets. The Threxian delegation arrived, led by a commander who introduced himself as General Zarvox. The general was a towering figure, his features hard and unyielding, but his eyes betrayed a hint of respect. "We recognize the skill and tenacity of your crew, Captain Reed," General Zarvox began, his voice deep and resonant. "But you must understand, your position is untenable. Why continue this fight when you know the outcome is inevitable?" Elias met the general's gaze, his own expression unreadable. "Because, General, sometimes the inevitability of an outcome can be changed by sheer will and the right actions. We are not fighting just for today or just for ourselves, but for the principle that might does not make right." The general paused, considering Elias's words. After a moment, he nodded slowly. "Very well. Let us see if your actions at this table can match those in the battlefield. What terms do you propose?" The negotiation was long and fraught with tension. Elias advocated not only for the safety of his ship and crew, but also pushed for recognition of the disputed sector as neutral territory, a buffer zone to prevent future conflicts. As the talks drew to a close, both sides reached a tentative agreement. The Threxians would withdraw their claim to the sector, acknowledging it as a neutral zone, while the Vindicator and its crew were granted safe passage back to human-controlled space. Elias knew this was only a temporary solution, a small victory in a much larger game of interstellar politics. But it was a victory nonetheless, one that affirmed the resilience and courage of his crew. As the Vindicator set course for home, Elias looked back at the asteroid field, now quiet and serene. They had survived against all odds and would live to fight another day. As the Vindicator made its way out of the asteroid field, the crew felt a collective sense of relief mixed with weariness. The recent negotiations had secured them a temporary peace, but the scars of battle were etched deeply into both the ship and its crew. Captain Elias Reed stood at the helm, his gaze fixed on the star-strewn path that led home. "Captain, all systems are stable, but I recommend we dock at the nearest Allied station for repairs before making the full journey back to Earth," Chief Engineer Malik suggested, reviewing the status reports on his data pad. "Make it so, Malik. Set course for Station Delta 3. Notify them we'll need full repair services and medical assessment for the crew," Elias responded, his voice reflecting the fatigue he felt. As the ship cruised towards the station, Elias took a moment to walk through the corridors, passing by crew members who were busy with repairs or simply taking a much-needed break. Their nods and smiles were tinged with respect and relief, reinforcing the strong bond shared by those who had faced adversity together. Upon arrival at Station Delta 3, the Vindicator was greeted with the efficiency and hospitality typical of a military outpost. The crew disembarked, and the ship was taken in for repairs. Elias, meanwhile, was debriefed by Station Command, detailing the encounter with the Threxian fleet and the subsequent negotiations. "Your actions have likely saved many lives, Captain Reed, and your initiative to negotiate may have opened a new channel for diplomacy with the Threxians," the station commander, Admiral Hayes, remarked after reviewing the debrief. "It was a calculated risk, Admiral. One I felt was necessary to prevent further loss on both sides," Elias explained, his tone humble yet confident. Admiral Hayes nodded in agreement. "Well, it's a good thing you took it. We'll debrief further after you've had some rest. For now, take some time off. You and your crew have earned it." Grateful for the break, Elias headed back to his quarters, but not before stopping by the medical bay to check on his crew. Seeing them safe and receiving care lifted a weight from his shoulders. Over the next few days, while the Vindicator underwent repairs, the crew took their rest on the station. The break from the confines of the ship was rejuvenating. Elias spent time engaging in light training exercises, catching up on messages from Earth, and reflecting on the recent mission. Despite the success, the reality of their precarious situation in a universe full of powerful and often hostile entities was never far from his mind. As repairs neared completion, Elias received a communication from Earth Command, commending him and his crew for their bravery and skill. More importantly, they were informed that talks with the Threxians were ongoing, facilitated by the groundwork laid during the recent parley. It was a small step toward peace, or at least a less hostile coexistence. Finally, with the Vindicator restored to full operational status, Elias convened his crew for a briefing in the ship's main assembly area. He looked over the faces of his crew, tired but resilient, ready for whatever came next. "Thanks to each of you, we've not only survived but managed to forge a potential path toward peace with the Threxians. We're heading back to Earth now, but the galaxy remains a vast and unpredictable place. Our journey forward will need all the courage and cunning you've shown so far and more." As the crew applauded, filled with renewed vigor, Elias felt a profound sense of pride and responsibility. They were not just survivors, but pioneers on the delicate frontier of interstellar diplomacy. With the ship's course set for Earth, the Vindicator left Station Delta 3 behind, its engines humming smoothly as it cut through the cosmos. The journey home was uneventful, but it provided Elias and his crew much-needed time to reflect on their accomplishments and the challenges that lay ahead. Upon their arrival back at Earth, they were met with media fanfare and ceremonial honors. Yet for Elias, the true reward was seeing his crew, his family safe and sound, their spirits unbroken by the trials they had faced. As the celebrations ended, Elias stood looking out at the stars from Earth's surface, knowing that the peace they had secured was fragile and the universe was vast with mysteries and dangers. But for now, they had earned a moment of respite, a brief pause in the endless cycle of challenge and response that defined life among the stars. After the celebrations and media attention began to die down, Captain Elias Reed found himself back at the headquarters of Earth's Space Command, immersed in strategic discussions and planning sessions. The recent encounter with the Threxian fleet had not only showcased humanity's resilience, but also exposed the need for more robust defenses and diplomatic strategies in space. Captain Reed, your actions have opened a new dialogue with the Threxians, but we must be prepared for all outcomes, General Carter, one of the senior strategists at Space Command, explained during a high-level briefing. We are accelerating the development of new ship technologies and considering your experience in upcoming deployments. Elias nodded in understanding. General, while I appreciate the focus on military readiness, I believe strengthening our diplomatic channels should be equally prioritized. We've seen that communication can avert potential disasters. The general agreed, and the meeting shifted towards integrating diplomatic training into the military curriculum, a proposal that Elias had been advocating for since his return. In the weeks that followed, Elias was involved in the testing and feedback sessions for new spacecraft designs, drawing on his recent combat experiences to provide valuable insights. Simultaneously, he worked closely with Earth's diplomatic corps, helping to outline potential peacekeeping missions that could involve mixed military and diplomatic teams. During this time, Elias received a new assignment command of a prototype vessel, the Horizon, designed for both exploration and combat. It was a testament to his leadership and a chance to pioneer the next generation of space travel and interaction. As the Horizon prepared for its maiden voyage, Elias gathered a crew of talented individuals, some of whom had served with him on the Vindicator. Others were diplomats, scientists, and engineers representing a holistic approach to space exploration. Welcome aboard the Horizon, Elias addressed his crew as they assembled in the main briefing room of the ship. Our mission is to explore uncharted territories, establish contact with new civilizations, and prevent conflicts through diplomacy. We carry the hope of Earth and the responsibility to act as ambassadors of peace. The Horizon set out from Earth, cutting through the vacuum of space towards the outer systems. Its first destination was the Viridian System, a region recently detected to have potentially habitable planets and unknown alien activity. As they approached the system, the crew detected signals indicative of intelligent life. Elias ordered caution and preparation for first contact. Remember, our approach should be one of respect and openness. Weapons are a last resort. The first encounter with the Viridian inhabitants proved to be a challenge. The aliens were cautious and initially mistrustful, but Elias's experience with the Threxians had prepared him for such a scenario. Through a series of careful interactions and exchanges, the crew of the Horizon gradually began to build a rapport with the Viridian species. Months passed as the Horizon continued its journey, visiting multiple star systems, establishing contacts, and sometimes facing dangers that tested the crew's resolve and readiness. Each challenge was met with the combined expertise of the ship's diverse crew, embodying Elias's vision of a multidimensional approach to space exploration. Finally, as they orbited a peaceful planet in a newly discovered system, Elias took a moment to reflect on the journey. They had traveled far beyond the known boundaries, acting as vessels of peace and exploration, and in doing so had redefined humanity's role in the cosmos. We're not just survivors or warriors, Elias mused to his crew, looking out at the stars. We're pioneers, diplomats, scientists, and explorers. We're the architects of peace and the bearers of hope. As the Horizon continued its mission, Elias felt a profound connection to the vastness of space and the infinite possibilities it held. Each star, each planet was a new opportunity, a new chapter in the grand saga of humanity among the stars. Months into their mission, the Horizon continued to forge a path through the lesser-known regions of space, with Captain Elias Reed steering his crew through the complex interplay of exploration, diplomacy, and sometimes confrontation. Their journey brought them to the edge of the anomalous expanse, a vast and largely uncharted region rumored to contain phenomena that defied the known laws of physics. "Captain, we're approaching the coordinates of the anomalous expanse," announced Lieutenant Kara, the Horizon's navigator. Sensors are already picking up unusual readings. The laws of physics here seem different. Elias leaned forward, intrigued by the challenge. Define different, Lieutenant. Kara adjusted her displays, showing fluctuating data that made little sense. Gravity fluctuations, time dilation effects, and there are pockets of space where light bends unnaturally. Entering this area could be risky. We need to investigate, but let's proceed with caution, Elias decided. Science team, prepare your instruments. We may not get another chance to study phenomena like this. As the horizon ventured deeper into the expanse, the ship trembled under the influence of unseen forces. The crew worked diligently to maintain systems and collect data, their faces a mixture of concern and fascination. Suddenly, an alarm blared. "Captain, we've detected a distress signal," reported Communications Officer Sims. "It's old, very old, but it's definitely artificial." Elias's decision was immediate. "Let's trace it. There could be someone out there needing help, or it could be a clue about what's happening in this region." The source of the distress signal was a derelict spacecraft, adrift amidst a swirling vortex of spatial anomalies. The ship was alien, unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Its design suggested a civilization that was both highly advanced and entirely unknown. "Send a team to investigate. Be ready for anything," Elias ordered, his mind racing with the possibilities of what they might find. The away team, led by Commander Jensen, boarded the alien vessel. Inside, they found technology that was startlingly advanced, but the ship was abandoned, its crew long gone. The only clue to its purpose lay in the ship's log, which Jensen managed to download and bring back to the horizon. Analysis of the log revealed a civilization that had been exploring similar anomalies, perhaps for the same reasons as humanity. But there was a warning in the log, a cryptic message about the dangers of delving too deeply into the mysteries of the expanse. "We have a responsibility to heed their warning," Elias reflected, discussing the findings with his senior staff. "But we also have an opportunity to learn, to perhaps avoid the fate that befell this ship." The horizon resumed its exploration, now equipped with knowledge from the alien log that helped them navigate the expanse more safely. Each discovery added layers to their understanding of the universe, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and capability. As they emerged from the anomalous expanse, Elias felt a mix of relief and exhilaration. They had encountered wonders and dangers that few could imagine, and they had survived. Looking ahead, the horizon set its course for the next destination, driven by the endless quest for knowledge and the eternal hope of peaceful encounters. The crew, united by their experiences, looked to the future with optimism and determination. "The universe is vast, and we are but a small part of it," Elias mused to his crew. "But with every star we visit, every civilization we meet, we expand not just our maps, but our understanding. We're not just exploring space, we're expanding what it means to be human." As the horizon continued its journey, the stars seemed a little less distant, the universe a little more familiar, bound by the threads of curiosity and courage that humanity had woven into the cosmos. As the horizon journeyed beyond the anomalous expanse, the universe seemed to unfold with new mysteries and opportunities. However, the serenity of exploration was soon interrupted by signals of a less benign nature. An encrypted transmission was intercepted, its origins tracing back to a sector known for historical conflicts and dark reputations, the Tenebrous Quadrant. "Captain, I've decrypted part of the transmission," Officer Sims reported, her tone marked with urgency. "It references a convergence and mentions coordinates that lead directly into the Tenebrous Quadrant." Elias pondered the implications. The Tenebrous Quadrant had been a battleground centuries ago, a place where many civilizations clashed over resources and territory. Now it was mostly avoided, known to be haunted by the remnants of old wars and the specters of unresolved conflicts. "Set course for the Tenebrous Quadrant," Elias decided, his voice resolute. "If there's a convergence happening, we need to understand its nature. This could be a gathering of forces or something else entirely." As they approached the coordinates, the horizon sensors picked up an array of signals, both active and dormant, weaving through the debris of ancient starships and forgotten technologies. The scene was a cosmic graveyard, telling tales of a time when the universe was far less understood and much more contested. "Captain, we're detecting multiple ships, all converging on the same point," Lieutenant Kara announced. "They don't seem to be aware of our presence yet." "Visuals on screen," Elias ordered, and the main display lit up with the images of various spacecraft, many adorned with the symbols of old factions and lost civilizations. It was an eerie gathering, like phantoms of the past drawn together by an unseen force. "We need to approach carefully," Elias instructed. "Maintain a low profile. Let's try to understand their purpose here before we reveal ourselves." The Horizon slipped silently through the debris field, using broken hulls and large fragments as cover. Elias and his crew observed the gathering, noting the exchange of signals and materials between ships. "It looks like a black market or an illegal salvage operation," Commander Jensen suggested. "They could be trading in old tech, possibly weapons. Or they could be searching for something left behind after the wars," added Dr. Kishlin, the ship's chief scientist. "Something valuable or dangerous." Elias considered their inputs. "Let's send a probe in. Cloak it as much as possible. I want eyes and ears close to that activity." The probe was launched discreetly, weaving its way toward the convergence. The feed from the probe filled the Horizon screens with clearer images and captured communications. The gathered factions were indeed trading in technology, but there was more. They were searching for an ancient artifact believed to control or enhance starship capabilities, a relic of a bygone era. "We can't let that fall into the wrong hands," Elias concluded. "Prepare for a tactical engagement. We need to secure that artifact." The Horizon moved in quickly and decisively. Elias led a team aboard one of the larger vessels, confronting a mixed group of scavengers and mercenaries. "Under authority of the Earth Space Command, this operation is hereby ordered to cease," Elias announced, his team backing him with drawn weapons. The standoff was tense, with the scavengers caught off guard but quickly rallying to defend their prize. However, the presence of the Horizon and its crew tipped the scales. The artifact was secured, and the illegal assembly was disbanded, with warnings issued against future convergences in the sector. Back aboard the Horizon, Elias examined the artifact, an intricate device, pulsing with unknown energy. "We'll need to study this carefully," he said to Dr. Lin. "It's a piece of our history, but its future implications could be significant." As the Horizon resumed its mission, Elias felt the weight of responsibility heavier upon him. Every discovery, every encounter shaped the path of humanity in the stars, a path fraught with dangers, but also filled with infinite potential. The recovery of the ancient artifact aboard the Horizon had sent ripples across various political and scientific communities. As word of their find spread, Captain Elias Reed found himself and his crew at the center of a growing interest that culminated in an invitation to a rare event, the Galactic Summit, a meeting of leaders and representatives from numerous space-faring civilizations, convened to discuss issues of mutual concern and interest. The summit was to be held on Neutral Station Alpha, a massive space station located at the crossroads of several major trade routes and territorial boundaries, designed specifically to serve as a diplomatic neutral ground. As the Horizon approached the station, the scale of the event became apparent. Ships of all shapes and sizes were docked or orbiting, representing a dizzying array of cultures and technologies. "Captain, this is a pivotal moment, not just for us, but for humanity," Dr. Lin remarked as they prepared to dock. "The artifact we've recovered could change the balance of technological power in known space." Elias nodded, fully aware of the stakes. "Our goal here is to ensure that it's used for the benefit of all, not just the few. We need to advocate for a cooperative approach to its study." Once docked, Elias and a select delegation from the Horizon made their way to the summit's main conference hall, a sprawling chamber designed to accommodate beings of various sizes and atmospheric needs. The hall buzzed with the chatter of multiple languages, some translated in real time through devices that hung in the air like tiny, attentive drones. As the summit commenced, Elias listened intently to the opening remarks delivered by the President of the Galactic Council, a venerable entity known for its wisdom and diplomatic acumen. The president spoke of the challenges facing the galaxy, from territorial disputes to the emergence of new technologies and their potential to disrupt the existing peace. When it was Elias's turn to speak, he rose, feeling the weight of his responsibility. He presented the artifact, not just as a relic of the past, but as a symbol of potential future collaboration. This artifact represents a legacy of knowledge and power. How we choose to handle it can either unite us in our quest for understanding or divide us in strife. His words resonated with many, drawing nods of agreement from some delegates and thoughtful looks from others. However, there were also murmurs of dissent from those who viewed the artifact as a strategic advantage that should be exploited. The discussions that followed were intense and complex, with Elias and his team advocating for the creation of a multi-species research initiative. This initiative would not only study the artifact, but also ensure that its benefits were shared equitably among all galactic powers. The negotiations were tough, with several factions pushing back, their motives mixed between genuine concern and self-interest. However, through a series of diplomatic maneuvers and compromises, Elias managed to secure a tentative agreement. As the summit drew to a close, a declaration was signed, establishing the Galactic Research Cooperative, with the Horizon and its crew playing a central role in the upcoming research efforts. The artifact would be housed in a specially constructed facility on Neutral Station Alpha, accessible to scientists and scholars from all member civilizations. Returning to the Horizon, Elias felt a cautious optimism. They had achieved a significant victory, not just for humanity, but for the broader galactic community. The future was uncertain, and the path was fraught with potential obstacles, but for now they had steered the course towards cooperation and peace. "We've done well," Elias told his crew as they gathered on the bridge. "But this is just the beginning. The real work starts now, ensuring that the cooperative operates as intended and that the knowledge we gain is used wisely." As the Horizon departed from Neutral Station Alpha, Elias looked out into the vastness of space, a frontier of endless possibilities. With each star a world of its own, the journey of the Horizon was far from over. There were more mysteries to unravel, more challenges to face, and more opportunities to forge a better future for all who navigated the starry sea. As the Horizon continued its voyage through the cosmos, Captain Elias Reed and his crew found themselves charting courses that pushed further beyond the familiar boundaries of explored space. Their mission, fueled by the principles of the newly established Galactic Research Cooperative, was not only to explore, but also to bridge cultures and foster peace through understanding and cooperation. The Horizon's next destination was the Glimmering Expanse, a region of space known for its beautiful but deadly nebulae and uncharted planetary systems. The expanse was rumored to contain ancient alien ruins, untouched and ripe with secrets of a civilization long vanished. "Captain, the Glimmering Expanse is ahead," Lieutenant Kara announced as the vibrant colors of the nebulae filled the view screens. "Sensors are detecting multiple anomalies and possible planetary bodies with signs of ancient structures." Elias nodded, his gaze fixed on the swirling mists of color. "Set a cautious course, Lieutenant. Let's see what secrets this place holds. But keep us clear of the denser nebulae, they can be treacherous." As they ventured deeper, the Horizon deployed probes and small scouting vessels to investigate the planets and anomalies. One planet in particular caught their attention, a world hidden within a less dense part of a nebula, showing signs of structured buildings and technology. "Prepare for a surface mission," Elias decided. "We need to see up close what's down there. Dr. Lin, assemble your team. We may be looking at a major archaeological find." The surface mission revealed a planet whose architecture blended so seamlessly with the natural environment that it was initially hard to distinguish from the surrounding landscape. The ruins were extensive, with technology that suggested a highly advanced, though seemingly extinct, civilization. Dr. Lin and her team worked meticulously to gather data, samples, and imagery. "Captain, this technology is unlike anything we've encountered. It's incredibly advanced, possibly allowing manipulation of environmental elements at a molecular level," she reported, her voice filled with excitement and awe. Back aboard the Horizon, the findings sparked a flurry of activity. Scientists and experts analyzed the data, piecing together the story of a civilization that had mastered their environment but vanished mysteriously. As the research progressed, Elias maintained communication with a galactic research cooperative, reporting their findings and ensuring that information was shared openly and equitably, in line with the principles of the agreement signed at the summit. However, the peaceful exploration was soon interrupted by a distress call from a nearby system, a plea for help from a planet suffering from a catastrophic environmental disaster. With the Horizon's advanced technology and the newly discovered environmental manipulation techniques, Elias saw an opportunity to help. Change course to the distressed planet. Let's see if we can apply what we've learned here to help them stabilize their environment, Elias instructed, directing his crew with a sense of urgency. Arriving at the planet, the Horizon crew worked with local authorities, using their technology and the techniques gleaned from the ancient ruins to avert further disaster. The effort was a testament to the cooperative's mission, showing that the sharing of knowledge and resources could indeed make a significant difference. As the situation stabilized, gratitude and new alliances formed, strengthening the bonds between the Horizon's crew and the populations they aided. With each mission, the Horizon not only explored unknown spaces, but also paved the way for new relationships and deeper understanding across the cosmos. The journey was far from over, with many more stars to visit and countless stories to uncover.